More about all of this. Joining me is columnist for the Daily Signal, Jarrett Stepman. So, Jarrett, welcome to the Leventhal Report.
Thank you very much. Good to be on.
So, these threats are very concerning, clearly. The Trump team released this statement last night and this morning. Several of President Trump's cabinet nominees and administration appointees were targeted in violent, un-American threats to their lives and those who live with them. These attacks range from bomb threats to swatting. In response, law enforcement and other authorities acted quickly to ensure the safety of those who were targeted. We just got through a presidential campaign where they tried to literally kill Donald Trump twice. The rhetoric never ends against Republicans. What more do we have to go through where the left is not, at what point is the left going to stop?
Apparently never. I think it does feel like a continuation from what we experienced during the campaign. Just imagine if any of these incidents actually turned deadly. We had some very narrow escapes. So, imagine what the consequences of that would be. Truly horrifying. We've been very fortunate, I think, that none of these things have actually turned deadly. But you want to talk about democracy and the peaceful transition of power. This is an important part of that, and I do feel there's an actual attempt to intimidate those who will be heading up the next government that was elected by the American people. So this is an attempt to essentially thwart that democracy and to thwart that choice that Americans made in 2024.
So you got some Democrats are trying to fast track Trump's nominations. Fetterman of Pennsylvania sounds like he'll support at least some, maybe most, if not all, of Trump's nominees. Are there any Democrats you think of that we should watch that might continue along the Fetterman route and give the benefit of the doubt, or are they going to kind of just stonewall everything and vote no?
I don't think they can just continue to vote no. I think there's going to be a very clear call, especially when you look at polls about how Americans view the transition so far. Most Americans are in a majority in support of this, and so standing in the way of this transition, I think would be something that won't be looked upon favorably by the American people, and there will be political consequences for that. And so I do think, especially, there was some early opposition, but I do think a lot of these nominees are going to ultimately get through. In fact, I would actually think that almost all the ones currently on the slate will get through. So I do think Democrats will eventually cave on this position. It won't exactly push their political capital on this, because I think Trump has shown that if these nominees get rejected, he's going to select somebody very similar to whoever he's chosen, and that person will get through. So I think that their stonewalling this issue is not going to get them very far.
Yeah, look, now that Matt Gaetz is out of the picture, it's very likely that every nominee will get passed by the Senate because of the Republican majority of 53. Jay Bhattacharya from Stanford, Dr. J, Trump's pick to lead the National Institutes of Health, was a lot of criticism on him during COVID because he was against lockdowns. He was, the vaccinations. He wasn't opposed to the vaccines. He was opposed to forcing people to get the vaccines. And he was silenced by the Biden administration for speaking out, silenced by social media. His last post on X says, it's not a virtue to exaggerate an infectious disease threat at the start of a pandemic to panic the population to compliance. It's not a vice to ask for data to understand the true risk. A noble lie is a lie. I got to tell you, he was one of the heroes of that horrible time of COVID, because he did push back and he exposed them all. We now know how much they actually lied. And some of them are criminals, So what do you think, though, this sends to the public health establishment, though?
This is such poetic justice, and I do think it's a rebuke to the COVID tyranny that Americans experienced during that time. This is, I think, actually very much in the vein of Trump's nominees, who are a rebuke of the sort of bipartisan consensus that takes place in Washington, D.C., that was wrong on so many issues, and it was actually, in many cases, outright tyrannical. Now you have somebody who's a genuine outsider, a thoughtful man who based a lot of his conclusions on research and science. Now he's marching into D.C., and I think that's a great thing. It's a rebuke of what happened the last 4 years, certainly what happened during COVID, and hopefully this will bring genuine change. I think that he was one of the true genuine heroes during COVID. Certainly convinced Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to start opening up that state long before many others did, and I think that should be applauded. I think it's very much in line with what Trump wants to do, and so I think it's a phenomenal choice at NIH.
Did you see the Kamala Harris skit on Saturday Night Live? Here, watch.
Look, this mission that we have, it takes hard work. But as you've heard me say many times, we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work can be joyful work.
Oh, wait a minute. That wasn't Saturday Night Live. That's crazy.
It almost seems like somebody had it out for her when they put this up. I mean, it's just unbelievable. She actually seems to be slurring her words a little bit, and I thought I heard a hiccup during her long presentation there. I do wonder if this is an attempt by some Democrats to thwart any ideas that she'll be running again in 2028. I do wonder, because this is so bad and was so embarrassing. To see somebody who still is vice president. Don't forget, even though Kamala Harris lost this race, she is still vice president of the United States, and who knows what's going on with the president, who seems to have been out for lunch for a long time. So this is highly concerning stuff when these are the people who are currently running the executive branch of our government.
Yeah, and if you look really closely in that video, I think you could see an empty bottle of Chardonnay somewhere, but whatever. Jarrett Stepman, we appreciate you coming on tonight. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Thank you very much.